Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you here today. Last night was the countdown to Fucktown. Basically, it was the end of the 90-day hold that WWE put on a lot of wrestlers when they released them 3 months back due to the coronavirus, not having enough money to cover the roster. Because of the fact that they weren't running shows, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown's not having crowds, as well as not having house shows for them to do during the week. There was no real income rolling into the company other than the WWE Network and WWE Shop. What was funny was the second that WWE made the cuts, their stock rose to a high that we haven't seen in a few months when the WWE Network first really launched. So by making these cuts, it basically put more money into WWE for Vince McMahon, and a lot of wrestlers saw the writing on the wall. They basically thought because of the AEW war, guys weren't getting released because of the fact that they didn't want them jumping ship to the other show, basically starting like a, Nitro versus Raw war, even though it's NXT versus AEW on Wednesday nights. They didn't want to help out the other guys. They thought basically by spending money, it would help themselves out in the long run because they wouldn't be making the AEW roster stronger on the other side. Some of these people were honestly happy to get their release because of the fact that WWE hadn't been using them that well. In my mind, I can honestly come out and say that I was glad to see the Good Brothers released because, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, it was the week of WrestleMania 32. They had signed back in January. AJ Styles had debuted at the Royal Rumble, and we were just kind of waiting for when Gallows and Anderson were going to come in. They had signed such a large deal. It looked like they were going to be a main part of WWE. Some people thought that they would even acquire the rights to the Bullet Club and use the Bullet Club in WWE. But Gallows and Anderson came in, big debut, basically taking out the Usos. And then it was like match after match, pay-per-view after pay-per-view of Gallows and Anderson not winning the titles. And that, in my mind, kind of flattened them out. It just made them, even though they were a badass team in New Japan Pro Wrestling, it just made them, another person that's on the roster. Then they ended up starting the club with AJ Styles. They had a feud majorly involving John Cena, and it was like, look, they're finally cashing in on these guys, even though they don't have the titles around their waist. They're being used like in a main event program against John Cena, then basically breaking the team up. Not breaking that team up, but breaking them up from AJ in the draft in 2016. These guys just floated around the roster. They won the titles, I think, once, maybe twice. And the rumors were coming out that with AEW starting up and their contracts coming to an end, these guys were going to go. But WWE threw even bigger money at these guys on the countdown to Fucktown last night. Basically, the interview that they did on YouTube. Go to the Talking Shop YouTube page. You could actually watch the interview that they did as their contracts expired. They were interviewed by Ryan Satin, and Rocky Romero was on the call as well. And I'm sure, even though they got a lot off their plates in the 2-hour interview, I'm sure as Talking Shop goes on week after week, more stuff is just going to spew out of their mouth. The more confidence they get out there on the independents, that they don't need WWE, that basically it's already being said that they're going to be on the Slammiversary pay-per-view. They signed a contract with Impact Wrestling. The contract that they actually signed is the same contract that they say they should have signed back when they left New Japan and they were going to go with AJ Styles. I don't know what that means. They told the story of basically they got released because everybody points the finger at Paul Heyman. Vince McMahon has told AJ Styles that they weren't on his list of guys to get released. So basically Paul Heyman came up with a list of guys that were on the Raw roster that he really didn't need and he really didn't want. And that's the reason why AJ Styles jumped and told that WWE he didn't want to work for Raw, that he wanted to work for SmackDown so he wouldn't have to be around Paul Heyman for basically lying to him as being one of the main event guys. I think WWE was going to keep Gallows and Anderson on the roster more than likely just to keep AJ Styles happy. Triple H, when he was heavily recruiting them to re-sign, basically said, hey, if we get into a lull on the main roster where we don't need you again, I promise that I can bring you to NXT and I can treat you like the monsters that you are and make you awesome talent. He never ended up being able to pay off on that. I think that they were trying to throw some shade at Triple H, but at the same time, basically not trying to dump everything on him. Gallows even said that one of the reasons why Triple H probably hasn't reached out to them since being released is there's probably some sort of rules that go along with that he's not allowed to go out and contact these guys, because what if Triple H was doing that and he did it to the wrong talent, basically, and they screenshotted it and put it out on Twitter, and that would turn into a Vince versus Triple H feud behind the scenes playing out online, and that's really not what WWE is looking for, because that's going to make them look like a company that doesn't really know what they're doing. They've already announced they're going to be going to New Japan. They're going to be going to Impact. I can easily say I am excited about the Good Brothers showing up on Slammiversary tonight. Looks like they're going to be contending for the tag titles. In my opinion, the best way to use them, have them win those titles tonight. I know it's not the North. It's another team that has those titles, but whoever it is, just squash them. I know that they are your talent, that these guys are going to be yours for the next 2 years. Make them look like monsters. Use them like monsters. Cash in on talking shop and the fans that they're going to be bringing to you. Don't let the people that are going to be buying Slammiversary walk away TNA is still TNA. You've got to make them separate. I know that Gallows was a part of Aces and Eights. They've hinted at Aces and Eights coming back. It looks like Bully Ray might be that main event guy that's going back and joining Impact in that main event former champion slot that they've really been building on as a major part of the pay-per-view. But the best thing I can relate this to is back in the day. I can't remember what year it was. Let's say it's it was back in the 2000s. Triple H basically moved from Raw to SmackDown in the draft. He wrestled there for a year, and I was really excited for it. Triple H is my main guy. I wasn't really watching SmackDown at the time. The second he got drafted, I was like, I'm going to freaking watch SmackDown each and every week because Triple H is going to be on there. It is going to become my new A show. And I never watched SmackDown. That's just the honest truth that it is. I'm hoping for them to have a good impact on the Impact Wrestling brand. But to me, honestly, Impact is still TNA. TNA is TNA. And until they do something really big, and they've been doing a lot of good stuff there for at least the last year. Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan looked like it was a good feud. That didn't make me want to tune in. Moose taking and becoming the new champion when they didn't have a champion. Filling in the gap on shows to make it make sense why Tessa wasn't there. And then Moose doesn't even end up in the four-way for the title. I don't really understand what the hell that's all about. But I'm hoping for the best for these guys. I know that, I'll push them on Talking Shop each and every week on Sundays. It's the highlight of my day. Every cool shirt that they come out with. If they can go to New Japan Wrestling, I know that the people that watch New Japan say it's some of the best wrestling they've ever seen. If they go and they're immediately into the Bullet Club, I can see them being a big deal that make me want to go back. I mean, I was staying up back in 2014, 15, 16, watching the New Japan shows, not only the Wrestle Kingdom shows, but the other shows that went along with it as well, like Dominion, and any big show that was a holdover from like a Friday to Saturday or a Saturday to Sunday night. We made a party of it. We used it against Justin the one time that he fell asleep during the Shinsuke Nakamura match. against the old guy, and we thought that the kid in the front row was going to turn against his grandpa, and we had fun with it. It was good times. We didn't know what the hell was going down, but Mike has consistently been a New Japan fan for the last 4 years, and he definitely knows more about it than I do at this point. So I'm glad for him. But there was a plan at one point that if they made the jump when their contracts expired a year ago, that Machine Gun Carl Anderson was actually going to beat Jon Moxley for the United States Championship. So it looks like they're not just going to use them as tag team guys, but they're going to emphasize, pushing these guys to the max, which is going to make the Bullet Club a bigger deal than it already is. So I'm looking forward to that. Still rocking the Bullet Club wallet after all these years. So, they pump out merch. I'm sure that I'll buy it. Maybe clarifying what the Bullet Club is. Maybe clarifying getting them a new... what am I trying to say here? Get them a new logo. Not change it up too much, but freshen it up to the point where people are buying new merch and things like that. And get it going. Because I think it was WrestleMania 31. The Bullet Club shirt was the shirt in wrestling. People were wearing it but didn't even know what the Bullet Club was. I know that I've worn that shirt in Costco, and people start talking to me about the NRA not losing the rights and people trying to take their guns and their bullets away. And I don't have the guts to tell them. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I'm just agreeing with them and hope that I'm not agreeing with like some right-wing nut that's, trying to get enough bullets to shoot up some, some building or some school or something like that. But we'll see what happens with this. But tonight, Slammiversary, Guns and Gallows are making their return. Machine Gun Carl Anderson taking it down. Peace out, guys.